It wasn't the mounting bills or the sudden shift in their tone that made you freeze today. It was the way they casually asked you to rearrange your entire evening just to accommodate their schedule, and you simply nodded. You felt the air leave your lungs. The room suddenly felt too small. You stared at the wall, calculating the exact cost of saying no. You told yourself you were just being flexible. You convinced yourself that keeping the peace was the mature thing to do. But the current transits are exposing the lie that your silence equals agreement. The moon in Capricorn is currently pressing hard against the fourth house of your emotional roots. If you continue to swallow your boundaries to keep the surface calm, this unspoken friction will calcify into a quiet resentment that fractures your foundation from the inside out. Take a slow breath in. Hold it for 3 seconds. Let it out. We need to address what is actually happening beneath the floorboards of your life right now. The planetary architecture today is highly specific and entirely unforgiving of avoidance. The moon in Capricorn is moving through your 7th house of partnership. At the exact same time, it is forming a harsh square to Venus in Libra, which sits in your 4th house of home and family. This is not a random mood swing. This is a structural stress test of your closest bonds. You are being asked to reconcile what a partner, client, or collaborator wants with what your private sanctuary actually requires. Money, property, and business matters are suddenly acting as a magnifying glass for these power dynamics. They might bring up a joint bank account or a property repair, but the subtext is always about who holds the authority. You are being forced to look at the architecture of your shared resources. The cosmos is forcing you to realize that you cannot outmanage someone else's expectations. You stand to gain from new financial opportunities stretching all the way until mid-2027. But that wealth will only flow if you stop treating your own energy as an infinite resource. Here is what the Vedic chart exposes about this specific friction. The tension you feel is not a sign that the relationship is failing. It is a mechanical indicator that the current blueprint is outdated. You do not have to choose between distance and overextension. You just have to name what actually feels supportive. Suggest a calmer pace. Let care show up as a workable plan rather than a martyrdom. But resolving this external pressure is only half the equation. The way you handle this boundary tonight is going to trigger a massive internal shift regarding your deepest romantic wounds, and you need to be ready for it. This brings us to the core of your relational experience. When you put off conversations that need to be had, they inevitably mutate into preventable explosions. The Capricorn moon in your relationship-minded 7th house is demanding that you have the talk. Dread is entirely optional if you approach this with respect and vulnerability. Pay less attention to what you are saying, and focus entirely on what you are hearing. Keep your eyes on the positive outcome. This could mean achieving a deeper understanding of your partner, or even turning a so-called nemesis into a strategic ally. You will resolve this without hurt feelings if you stay grounded. But let us look deeper at the romantic frequency operating beneath this transit. Cancer, you carry a hidden wound. You have spent years believing that your love is only valid if it is useful. You think that if you stop managing the logistics, stop anticipating the needs, and stop holding the emotional container, people will leave. You fear that you are simply too complicated to be loved effortlessly. You worry that your baggage is too heavy, and that your need for solitude makes you unlovable. So when someone asks for togetherness and you are already emotionally full, their request feels oddly demanding. You want a quiet night, but they expect more connection. You could agree to the plan, then spend the entire evening radiating discomfort. You start counting the minutes until they leave. Stop doing this to yourself. Wanting space does not mean you care less. It simply means your affection will land much better when you are not running on empty. If you are single, the current transits suggest a strong pull toward earth signs. Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn energy is entering your field. They offer the grounding stability your nervous system is craving right now. Do not mistake their practicality for a lack of passion. They do not need you to perform. They just want to sit in the quiet with you. Their steady rhythm is exactly what allows your emotional depth to safely unfold. You might feel you have missed your window, but the timing is actually perfect. And if you receive praise at work today, maintain your humility. Do not let the jealousy of others disrupt your frequency. The career loop is closing, but the romantic realization is just beginning. The person coming toward you does not need you to be perfect. They need you to be present. And presence requires boundaries. This realization requires a physical shift. You cannot think your way out of a Capricorn moon square. You have to move it out of your tissues. When you feel the urge to people-please rising in your throat, physically drop your shoulders. Shake out your hands. Break the physical posture of compliance. The astrologers recommend you spend time in absolute solitude today. This is not a punishment. It is a neurological reset. Between 12 p.m. and 1:30 p.m. is your luckiest window. Use this time to disconnect from all digital demands. Wear pink today. It is your lucky color, and it softens the rigid edges of the Capricorn energy, allowing your natural nurturing frequency to breathe. Make time for intentional exercise. Eat well and strictly avoid junk food, which will only amplify the emotional heaviness you are trying to clear. Financial issues are highly promising right now, but you must spend prudently. Do not use retail therapy to soothe the tension of this square. Speak with someone you trust for guidance. It will help you see things with absolute clarity. And if you have been feeling a sudden urge to escape, the cosmos is highlighting Portugal as a fascinating place to visit. Let that be a seed for your future planning. Let the idea of the ocean and the cobblestone streets anchor your mind when the domestic pressure rises. Honest communication is the key to reducing conflict in your closest relationships. We are coming back to where we started. That moment you froze when they asked you to rearrange your evening. You do not have to repeat that pattern. You have the astrological backing to rewrite the script. You are learning to make money, property, and business your excuse to become the greatest relationship expert of your own life. You are discovering fine people skills through the very friction that used to trigger you. You are no longer the person who shrinks to fit into someone else's schedule. You are the architect of your own peace. The cosmos is not asking you to be everything to everyone. It is asking you to be entirely yourself. Take a moment right now. Put your hand over your heart. Feel the steady rhythm beneath your palm. That is your own foundation. It is solid. It is yours. You do not have to give it away to keep the peace. If you are ready to claim this boundary and invite the deeper connection it creates, type the word claim in the comments below. Make it an energetic declaration to the cosmos that you are done overextending. You are stepping into your power. The transits are aligned. The path is clear. Walk it with absolute certainty.